On an island off the coast of Tunisia, there is a synagogue older than most countries. For centuries, the families there kept what little gold they had: wedding rings, coins, small things, passed down through generations. In the winter of 1943, men in gray uniforms came and weighed it all, 43 kilograms, taken from one island, written down in a single line of a report. And this was only one island among many, only the beginning. By then, the war in the desert was already lost. The Afrika Korps was in retreat, broken at El Alamein, pushed back across 1,000 miles of sand. They fell into Tunisia to make a last stand. It would not hold, but that ending was still months away, months in which an entire community could be stripped bare. Behind the fighting soldiers came a quieter unit, not there to hold ground, there to collect. They answered to an SS officer named Walter Rauff, a man whose name would come to mean far worse than theft. For 6 months, his men moved through Tunisia, town by town, jewels, silver, religious objects hundreds of years old, and gold, wherever they could find it. Whole communities were forced to pay ransoms, to be left alone. Some 5,000 men were put to work building fortifications. Others were marched into labor camps, made to wear a star on their backs, so they could be shot from a distance if they ran. More than 2,500 never came home. The officer who ran it slipped away when the war ended, and was hunted for the rest of his life. He died an old man in South America, never once punished. The world remembers this loot by another name: Rommel's Gold, the Desert Fox, the general who supposedly fought a clean war. But here is the first crack in the legend. By the 9th of March, Rommel was already gone, sick and ordered back to Germany, before the last of it was ever taken. He never touched it. The name stuck anyway. It sells better than the truth. By the spring, the fighting in Africa was over. 250,000 men laid down their arms. But the gold had already vanished. So where did it go? Some of it disappeared into Germany. Some of it disappeared into men's pockets. And some of it, the story says, never made it off the water at all. This is where the history ends, and the legend begins. The tale goes like this: 6 metal crates, heavy with the plunder of Tunisia, loaded onto a boat in the dark, bound for Corsica, then Italy, then home. But the coast was watched. The convoy they were meant to meet had already sailed, and the men carrying the gold ran out of road. One name survives from that night: a diver, Peter Fleig. He said he was ordered into the water of Bastia. He said they lowered the crates into the black water, about a mile from shore. He said the coordinates were written in code, on the back of a single photograph, and that the officers who knew the spot were taken away and shot. Or, so he said. Years later, the French arrested him, traveling under a false name. The tale itself came in more than one version. In some, he had hidden the gold himself. In others, he only heard where it lay. Every telling was harder to trust than the last. After the war, Sheikh came looking, a Frenchman, an Austrian woman, an Irish lord who swore he knew the place. Then divers, sonar crews, documentary teams, treasure hunters with old maps and thin rumors. One swore he had finally broken the code, pinned it to a stretch of tourist beach. He was as certain as everyone before him. More than 60 years of searching. The same stretch of blue water, off the same quiet beach. Nothing. No crates, no gold, no proof it was ever there. Later crews went back with better tools. They found aircraft on the seabed, other wrecks from the war, but never the 6 crates. The coded photograph was never produced. The story never held still either. Some said the haul was worth tens of millions. Some said far more. No honest figure was ever agreed. Nobody truly knew what was inside the crates. Some said Fleig invented the whole thing, that the crates of Bastia were decoy, sand and stones, dropped to send searchers the wrong way. Some pointed instead to the cliffs at the far south of the island. The real hoard, if there ever was one, hidden somewhere else entirely. And maybe that is the real truth of it, that the gold everyone hunts for was never the story worth telling. The story was weighed out on a small island. In the winter of 1943, 43 kilograms, wedding rings, coins, small things, passed down, taken from people who are almost never named, by men who counted them like cargo. That water off Corsica is still there. People swim in it every summer, a few hundred yards from where the crates are said to lie. Most of them have never heard any of this. Maybe the gold is down there in the dark, still waiting. Maybe it never was. But something was taken. That part is certain. And it was closer to you, and to now, than it feels. Subscribe to Lost Fathoms for more stories of what vanished and what is still out there waiting. Real stories, real history, real treasure. See you in the next one.